right, so we're going to take a look at comparing quadratics from a graph, table, equation, and in context. So this one you don't need to make a tab, it was already made, so we're good to go. I'm going to look at each one first, so let's take a look at a graph. And again, this is just a review, so if I'm going too fast, you just need to go back to the beginning of quadratics and take a look at those videos. All right, so does this function have a minimum or a maximum? So remember, a happy face is a minimum, a sad face is a maximum. So looking at this function, does it have a minimum or a maximum? This is a happy face, which means it has a minimum. All right, what is the minimum or maximum value? When it talks about that, it's just talking about the y value. So what is the y value right here? So you put a dot right here and you go right to the y and it says -3. What is the y-intercept of the function? Where does it cross the y-axis? So here's the y-axis going up and down. This line crosses right here. What is that number? 3. What is the average rate of change over the interval 0, 2? So remember, average rate of change is the change in y over the change in x. And you are given this formula in your formula sheet. You just have to find it. That's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you'll remember that when I asked you to do average rate of change, I told you that you need to make sure that you write out box minus box over box minus box. Okay, so please make sure that you're doing that. All right, so the interval is going to be 0, 2, and remember that's your x1 and your x2. So I'm going to go ahead and write it down right here. So my x1 is 0, my x2 is 2. Now I need to find my y1 and my y2. So what does that mean? It means that I go to where x is 0 and it's going to give me my y value. So here's my x-axis. I go to 0. What is my y value at 0? It is 3. In other words, when I go to 0, where is the graph? I go up here to 3. When x2 is 2, when my x value is 2, I go to the graph right here, and then I go across to the y to see what it is. Now this is in between. It looks like it's in between 2 and 3, and it's not quite halfway, so it's something less, and I'm going to approximate here. So I'm going to say, let's say that's about -2.3. Okay, so it's just a rough approximation. Okay, once I have my x1, y1, x2, y2, I just plug it into the formula. So y2 is -2.3. Y1 is 3. x2 is 2. x1 is 0. Once you do that, just plug it into the calculator and you're going to get -2.65. That is how you calculate your average rate of change. And then the final question is, what are the roots, 0 solutions, or x-intercepts? Remember, there are 4 different words they're going to use for this, and it's just where it crosses the x-axis. So here's my graph. Where does it cross the x-axis? So here's the x-axis right here. You can see it crosses right here and right here. Now, that point right there is going to be 1. So my final question, number 5, it crosses at x equals 1 and at x equals. Now, on this second one, it's just a little bit over 5. So you can see this is 4, so that's 5, and then 6. It's just a little bit over 5, but not quite halfway. So I'll say about 5.2. Okay, so please do remember, it's just an approximation. If they gave you this in a test, they would allow for that. All right, so that's how you find all that information out. So really quickly, let's take a look at a table. So looking at a graph is by far my favorite one, and you can make all of these other functions into a graph so you can see it. Okay, so does this have a minimum, maximum? Without using a calculator, I'm just going to roughly sketch these points out. So I have 0 to 5 is my x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm just going to do a sketch so I can see what it is. And then I have to 20, so let's go 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm just sketching, okay? So 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm just sketching to see. So it's 0, 10, so right here. 1, 4, 1, 4, about here. 2, 2, 2, 2, maybe about here. 3, 4, 3, 4. So I can already see there's going to be a U, which means if it's going to be a U, it has a minimum. All right, so I just sketch a quick graph just to see what it is. All right, number 2, what is the minimum or maximum value? To find the vertex from a table, and again, I will show you how to put in the calculator for a graph, but from a table, you have to find where the points are repeating. So like you see how it goes 10, 10, 10, 4, 4. That means that this is the vertex. Because what that means is this. It means that because a quadratic is going to go either like this or like this, at some point it's going to have the same number twice. So it's going to have the same number twice. So as you're coming, same number twice, when you don't have the same number twice, that's the vertex. So my vertex is going to be at 2. Number 3, what is the y-intercept of the value? So where does it cross the y-axis? So when you cross the y-axis, every time you have anything, wherever you cross the y-axis, your x has to be 0 because you have to go 0 and then to wherever your y is. So when x is 0, what's y? That's where it crosses the y-axis. And here's x is 0 and y is equal to 10. All right, number 4, what is your average rate of change? So just like before, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. All right, so I just need to write down my interval. So it's x1 is 0. And x2 is 2. So what's y1 and what's y2 at 0 and 2? So I go to where x is 0, y is 10. When x is 2, y is 2. All right, then you do box minus box over box minus box. All right, and then just plugging it into the formula. So I'll use the formula right here. It goes y2 first, so y2 is 2. Then it goes y1 is 10. Then it goes x2 on the bottom, that's 2. x1, that's 0. You go ahead and put that in the calculator. Negative 8 over 2 is negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. All right, final question, number 5. What are the roots, the solutions, where it crosses the x-intercept? So I know, again, if I have any kind of quadratic, wherever it crosses the x-intercepts, wherever it crosses the x, that y value has to be 0. So I look here for y to be 0. I don't see it. Because I don't see it, I do have to use a calculator. So remember, in order to put it in the calculator, you're going to go calculator on Desmos, all right, with the table. You're going to hit the plus sign, hit the table, put in the table, and then right underneath that, do the y sub 1 squiggly line, ax sub 1 squared plus bx sub 1, plus c. All right, so we're just going to plug it into the calculator. As always, you're going to go to desmos.com/practice. Please make sure you do /practice. Once you get there, choose your assessment, of course. You're going to choose Georgia Milestone and then high school graphic calculator, press start. So now we are ready to go. So remember, we are trying to find where it crosses the x-axis. So we have to make this table. We have to put the table into here. To do that, you go plus sign, table. Then you put in your values. So we're putting in all our values for x right here. So I'm just going to type it in. So 0, enter 1, enter 2, enter 3, enter 4, enter 5. And now I'm going to put in my y values, these right here. So I'm going to go 10, enter 4, enter 2, enter 4, enter 10, enter 20. You can see it's plotting it for you, okay? But we need, in order to know where it crosses, it doesn't even look like it crosses the x-axis, but we're going to go ahead and put it in C. So to do that, we're going to start in a new line. So you go y sub 1, so you press the key at the bottom, you press A, B, C, and then you do the A sub B, so it takes to the bottom. Then you press the number 1, click out of that, squiggly line, so squiggly line is right here. And then AX sub 1, so again, A sub B, the number 1, click out of that, plus BX sub 1, so again, hit the A sub B button, 1, and then click out of that, plus C. Okay, that will give you your A, B, and your C. Oh, I forgot to square it over here, so sorry, guys. All right, so up here, because it's a quadratic function, that's why it looks like a straight line. That's wrong. So come back to where it says X, and then we're going to go look for the squared button. So press A, 1, 2, 3, and there's my squared button. So look, there you go. All right, so what do you notice? It doesn't even cross the x-axis. So what does that mean? That means there are no roots, no solutions. So my equation is y equals A, which is 2, x squared plus b. B is -8. So -8x plus c, which is 10. So I'm going to write down the equation, and then underneath that, I don't have space, so I'm going to write mine on top over here. Oh, here we go. You're going to say no solution, because it doesn't cross the x-axis.